Hello and welcome back to Homebrew EDH, where I take you through my personal commander decks, how they work, and how they win. This episode is Captain Ripley Vance. It's 2 and a red for a legendary human pirate, is a 3/2 that reads, whenever you cast your 3rd spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Captain Ripley Vance. Then it deals damage equal to its power to any target. This deck is a multifunctional deck. There is a steal your stuff theme, there's the direct damage theme, and a slight pirate tribal theme. So with that, let's get into the episode. For the first bit in this episode, we're going to go over how we can ramp in this deck with not a lot of staples. We have Blinkmoth Urn, which in our pre-combat main phase adds colorless mana for each artifact we control. Chandra Novice Pyromancer, which can do direct damage and give us 2 red mana. And Soul Talisman, which is just a delayed Soul Ring. Catalyst Elemental can sacrifice itself for 2 red. Battle Hymn adds a red for each creature we control. And Stormkiln Artist takes the cake in this category. 3 and a red for a 2/2 Dwarf Shaman. Stormkiln Artist gets +1/+0 for each artifact we control. And whenever we cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, we create a treasure token, which will also power our Blinkmoth Urn. So in terms of doing extra damage, I don't have a lot of cards that do it, but I do have Jaya, Venerated Fire Mage, and the Flame of Keld. Jaya is a 5 mana planeswalker that starts at 5 loyalty, that has a static ability, and reads, if another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. She herself can deal 2 damage to any target, but does not get the buff because it says another red source. The Flame of Keld is 1 and a red for an enchantment. First chapter is discarding your hand. Second one draws you 2 cards. The third one is what we're worried about. If a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, deals that much damage +2 to that permanent or player instead, which we can then pump our commander, deal its power in damage, and then some with these cards. The second bit here will be Pirate Tribal examples, although not the main theme of the deck. Still kind of part of it, so I guess we'll go over it. Swab Goblin, Goblin Trailblazer, and Impulsive Pilferer are just cheap, easy pirates to get out. Wily Goblin, Brazen Freebooter make us treasures when they enter, and Mog War Marshal, just another goblin I could throw in there, is 1 and a red for a 1/1 with Echo for 1 and a red. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay the Echo cost. And when it enters or dies, put a 1/1 goblin creature token onto the battlefield. In terms of card draw, we don't have a lot of direct card draw in mono red. A lot of it is impulse draw or the exile top of library type deal. So we have Thrill of Possibility, draw 2 cards. Electric Revelation is the same type of deal, but it's 2 and a red, and it has Flashback, as you can see there, for 3 and a red, so you can do it twice for a little bit more. And Galvanic Relay, 2 and a red for sorcery with exile the top card of your library. During your next turn, you may play that card, and it has Storm, so if you cast a bunch of cheap stuff and then cast this, your next turn you'll have access to not only your hand or whatever you might have on the field, but as well all of those exiled cards from last turn. The next sub-theme in this deck is stealing all of your stuff, because that's what pirates love to do. We have cards like Wrangle, Claim the Firstborn, and Enthralling Victor, which progressively steal things that are cheaper and cheaper, going from 4 or less with Wrangle to Claim the Firstborn, which is 3 or less, and Enthralling Victor, which is 2 or less, giving whatever those creatures are haste until end of turn and such, as most thievery effects do. On the other side, we have Malevolent Whispers, Traitorous Instinct, and Mascot Interception, all of which are 3 and a red, that gain control of target creature till end of turn. That untaps it, gives it haste, and +2/+0. And if stealing your creatures wasn't good enough, I have Metallic Mastery, which is 2 and a red, gain control of target artifact until end of turn, untap it, it gains haste, etc. So you can steal artifacts too if they're getting annoying. Now the main thing that this deck wants to do is cast multiple spells in a turn, 3 to be exact, and pump up our commander. He starts off as a 3/2, and we're just looking to make him as big as possible, as fast as possible, and burn down our opponent. So with that, we have Stolen Vitality, Maximize Velocity, and Infuriate, all of which are +something until end of turn effects, as well as Precise Strike, Storm Strike, and Brute Strength, giving plus something, and additional effects until end of turn. Best card, I believe, in the deck is Soul's Fire. 2 and a red for an instant that reads target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. So if we cast enough of these spells, third spell ability Trigger, he still has that power until end of turn, so if we have Soul's Fire in hand, we can do it twice and get a nice chunk of life out of our opponent. And the last bit for this episode is going to be doing direct damage to our opponents. We have Font of Ire, which is 1 and a red for an enchantment that we can sacrifice it for 3 and a red, and it deals 5 damage to target player. We have Chain Lightning, which is 1 red for a sorcery. It deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Then that player's or creature's controller may pay red. If it does, copy the spell, choose new targets. And then we run simple things like Lightning Strike, 1 and a red, deal 3 damage to any target, and Pillar of Flame, which is 1 red for a sorcery. Deals 2 damage to target creature or player. If the creature is dealt damage this way, would die. This turn, exile it instead. And with that, today's episode is coming to a close. This deck's goal, cast a bunch of cheap spells, 3 in a turn, pump up your commander, burn your opponent to the ground as fast as possible, doing all the burny things that Mono Red wants to do. If you enjoyed this episode of Homebrew EDH, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. As always, deck list will be in the description with all the cards I did not include in this video. Constructive feedback and deck suggestions are always welcome in the comments. I read all of them. And until I see you guys in the next one, take it easy and enjoy your stay.